Hi guys, hope all is well. I've been away for a few days, so I'm ready to get back in and stuck in. I was going to do a video a little bit earlier, but I did see an opportunity in AUD, which I did want to see what was going to happen, but I think there is another outcome which potentially could happen. So let's go into it. So first of all, let's check out the dollar. So higher time frame weekly, we've just been absolutely just mooning. We broke all-time highs. The euro is now actually the same price as a dollar, which is quite mad to think. So I'm going to be quite interested to see what happens. We are breaking weekly highs. We do have some demand levels down here, which could get met. So whether in time, if price did want to potentially make some sort of move down and then potentially start heading back up, but we will kind of see what happens. But going into the daily, we have our high low, high low, high. So now I want to see if we can come down, get high low, and then continuations, or if we're going to break and maybe come down. But I will wait until this low gets broken. But for the time being, we are going to just wait and see. On the daily so far, you can see we do have quite a nice Marubozu candle. So for you that don't know, Marubozu candle is basically when just price just opens and just there's no wick. So this is kind of telling me that there's quite like a strong impulse in price. So you can see this is kind of like a Marubozu in here. You can see we have that down, then that strong up move. So yeah, what I do potentially think we could do is either on the daily, if we're looking at this retracement to come down to then go up, I've just got a fib move down looking to come to the 50%. We do have some imbalance in here. And if we do drop it down onto the lower time frames, we do have some lows in here as well, which I could potentially see get taken. I did think we were going to do that last week, but we didn't. Or we could just respect this structure in here, come into the 50% and then continue a little bit higher. Personally, I do potentially favor a bit more of a deeper retracement maybe to then go long, just so we can sweep out this and actually take this inefficiency out. But let's kind of see what happens. But for the time being, I'm just going to kind of let it sit on an hourly, wait for confirmed breaks of structures to then actually have a pullback and continuations. Excuse me. So that is the dollar. AU. AU, we had a really nice move this morning. Yesterday, we have pretty much just died. You can see I had a really nice breaker structure. So now I'm kind of just waiting for some sort of pullback and continuation shorter. I've been looking for this weekly level for quite a while now. If any of you guys have been watching my videos, you will know that I've been waiting for this weekly level to be met. So I am just going to wait to see kind of what happens in this. On our daily retracement, you can see we've got a daily imbalance, which lines up quite nicely with that 50% as well. So we have there was a really nice trade that I did actually have an order in on here. I actually took it out because I was on holiday. I didn't really want to be looking at my phone. But hindsight is always an amazing thing. So my entry would have been from down here. I did actually just have it to the low. So just shy of 100 pips. So that was really, really nice. And I was in longs. I did actually take it out. And I do potentially expect this level to be met as a minimum for potential retracements. But I do just have mine just at that 50% just because I know that's quite a nice level to be trading from. So if we look at AU, we actually undergo or went through a really, really nice accumulation phase at the moment. You can see, yeah, an accumulation phase. This is our accumulation, and you can see we were manipulating the lows and then we started to shift and break structures higher. Now, I caught an entry of a 1 minute, and this 1 minute was off this demand zone here. Sorry, this was just my stop at break even. So we had, after we had this manipulation, it was actually a 5 minute, there was a really nice demand zone. So any kind of move off here is valid. We did have some lows all the way down in here, and I did think that these were going to actually get liquidated, but it didn't. And we actually just shifted structure. So for me, I was thinking, okay, cool. I'm just going to be looking for the area that caused the break of that structure. So you can see this is our demand. We did have some small raid in here. We had a small raid in here as well with this move. Price came up, we kind of mitigated this, and then we kind of got that full 1 minute break structure. So just nothing more than a pullback into that area and then continuations. And if we pull a fib, you can see that fib was lining up quite nicely. So going in for this coming week, so it was actually on a 30-minute. So we came into this 30-minute zone, and we had really nice reactions off here. And from there, we then had this 30-minute zone with an imbalance resting between it. And I was expecting price to actually come down and continue. We didn't actually get that. So I do think potentially we could kind of have one more run down and potentially take it to the top side. We did take out this high, which was one of my targets. Price is kind of potentially trying to push through, but maybe we will today, maybe we won't. Honestly, I really potentially don't see it happening today. I really kind of would like to see this 30-minute level get met. So potentially going into the Asian session, we could see any sort of move back down into this area. I'm sorry, I had to change it just because of my OCD. We could even break a little bit lower, because if we actually really look at it, this was the demand which actually invalidated this supply in here. So this is almost like a bit of a flip of supply and demand. And the one thing that is kind of really making me think about this is because we do have this inefficiency. Yeah, price could come up and just take this high, but I think maybe going into the Asian session, we could take out this New York low, mitigate out some of the London, and then actually continue with the overall bullish move to potentially to the top side. So we could pull a fib into here, and you can see that fibs line up quite nicely with that demand zone that I am looking for. So there was a couple % taken from this, which is quite nice, but equally I do think we could probably have one more run down into the downside. We do have some lows that have been created in here now, so this is potentially a nice area for me to be trading off and in my plan. So it's going to be pretty simple. I'm going to be looking for any kind of move back down into this region of price. You can have around an 8 pip stop loss and still have that target to go up into that 50%. So potentially a nice 60 pip move. I was going to leave my entry that I had in here, and in all fairness, I really could have left my entry that was down here and then kind of just continue with this move, but I did actually take a couple losses, so I just wanted to kind of recover what I did, and I didn't want it just to take me out and then continue. That would have been fairly annoying. So it is always good just to secure profits when you are given the opportunity. Price is looking quite strong at the moment, so we will wait and see, but I do just holding it onto a 30-minute chart. We had this mitigation in here with this move here, and then we kind of had that pump. So I do potentially think we could actually come back down one more time and come into tomorrow. I do think this run now is actually just to go in and take out that high. I could be wrong, and price could potentially go a little bit higher, but I'm not going to rush anything at the moment. We do have some pretty solid lows all off here, actually kind of holding off of this 1 minute, but it never really did anything as per se. It never really did anything of any importance. So I do think we could potentially run all of these lows and potentially come back into this 30-minute zone. So this 30-minute zone is something I am going to be looking at just for continuations. If we do get a confirmed breaker structure here, which we kind of looking like we are doing at the moment, that is what I am going to be waiting for. So that's AU. I am going to kind of just see what happens with it. I'm not going to rush anything, and I'm just going to, again, just see what happens. So euro pound is actually really nice setup and trade. If we're kind of just looking at structure, the euro has just been absolutely slapped recently, and you can see we've just died off so hard. So there were a few levels that I was actually waiting for quite a while ago, all the way back probably when price was in around here, to be fair. So back in May, and there were still some levels that I thought were going to be met and they didn't. So we had some equal lows in here, and we do have this 1 hourly with this imbalance, and this never actually mitigated this hourly order. I did actually have an order in here which didn't get met, so that's fine. That is what that is. But I do think we could run back down into the downside. So I have potentially two outcomes. Yes, we did run this high, and there was a 50-minute supply zone, demand zone, which was really, really nice to see. Nice entries and continuations. But the one thing for me is we do have a lot of these highs, which is looking quite nasty, if I'm going to be honest with you. So we could actually see this get ran, and we could maybe just trade a little bit higher in, oops, where are we? Let's go back. We could trade a little bit higher into this area in here. And run out that previous high. So we could actually just run this high and actually continue. So just because there has been a run on a high doesn't mean that it's going to reverse. Just because you have a manipulation doesn't mean it's actually going to reverse. That's one thing I did learn very much the hard way. If you guys know anything about Wyckoff, you should know that you do usually get 3 manipulations. It's usually a 1, 2, 3 move. This is your basic distribution phase. So we could even have 1, 2 final manipulation, break, pullback, and continuations. So I actually wouldn't be surprised if we did actually run out of this side, just because there are some lows on that 1 minute time frame. And if we kind of look at all of this, we had this run while we actually had a demand zone, which then turned into a supply zone, which was a nice flip. There is nothing in here that needs to be filled, bar this inefficiency and this mitigation of this zone. So we could actually have that one more run and then actually really continue to the downside. And I do have my targets at these equal lows, and I do have my final target at this low. We could maybe run down a little bit more, but I'm not going to be greedy. I'm not going to try and rinse profits because there's actually 0 point. And there's, as traders, you should know there's nothing more of an annoying feeling than once you're in really heavy profit, and just because you're trying to milk it, it just does something you don't want it to do. So for that reason, I do have my stops at break even. So I'm just going to wait, and potentially going into London, you can see this is kind of New York Open, kind of going into 1 o'clock. It's not really, because New York Opens at 2:30. But we could still see that high get ran, and we do have quite a nice 15-minute zone in here, so potentially any kind of move off this zone potentially would be quite nice to see. And what confirmations am I going to wait for? I'm going to be waiting for the manipulations, the breaks of structure, the shifts, potentially looking for that supply zone to get met, and then stops above the highs and continuations back down. So this is what I'm looking for. There's nothing really too amazing. AU, this is continuing higher, but again, we could still come back down from this. So yeah, this is what I am looking for. If you guys got any questions, please let me know. If you guys got any pairs that you do want me to do, please feel free to fire away, and I shall help you as much as I can. I do really enjoy helping you guys, so if you guys do need any help, please do let me know. But until then, I hope you guys have a fab week trading. I hope you follow your plan, and like I said, if you need any help, please let me know and I will feel free to help. All right, guys, thank you.